Welcome, everyone, to our next episode of Metal Minutes brought to you by Cornerstone Building Brands. Today, we are honored to have Dave and Jenny Marrses with HGTV's Fixer to Fabulous to visit with us today about metal roofing on homes. There's a lot of questions that we get about metal roofing and how it works on our personal homes. And today, Dave and Jenny have offered to come and visit with us about their perspectives of that. And guys, we cannot thank you enough for taking some time to visit with us and to help our audience to understand just exactly, some things that maybe we can do away with some misconceptions about metal roofing.
I love that.
Yes, thanks for having us.
Yeah. Glad to be here.
Well, and we, looking on your bio, it looks between your work and a lot of children and the projects you are doing. Again, we just can't thank you enough for peeling out some time for us to visit with our audience. So we're kind of going to jump right in. These are some myths. We hear about Mythbusters. And kind of the first one that's been around a long time is that, metal roofs are noisy, especially, when it rains or in hail. And so, Dave, I'll send this one to you first. What's been your experience with that?
Well, I mean, metal roofs are anything but noisy. If I could jump in here and say, I actually wish they were a little more noisy, because listening to a rain shower where it's like tinkling off the metal roofs is one of the most relaxing sounds. But, anymore, Mike, metal roofs, like, for example, Slimline's roof, there's insulation and there's decking. I mean, so they're essentially as quiet as asphalt shingles. We have a metal roof. We stay in metal roof houses. We don't have one on our personal house, but I have one on my barn. And there is no more noise from a metal roof than there is from an asphalt roof.
Mm-hmm.
I think kind of going along with what you're saying, I think a lot of us thinking about, and I know what comes to my mind, being in my granddad's barn.
Exactly.
When it was just a roof, an
Right.
old corrugated roof. And I think that's probably where a lot of that's coming from.
Yes.
It is. And then the same in my barn. I've got insulation. And as soon as you insulate that, it's essentially the exact same, at least in my mind, to an
Yes.
asphalt roof.
Well, and when we get off of this call, I'll put you in touch with somebody to get a metal roof on your house.
There you go.
Just,
There you go.
just saying. So, Jenny, when you're talking about with your clients from the design standpoint, and they ask you, from that standpoint, how do you address that?
I mean, I think that just ensuring that the contractor they're working with understands installation of the metal roof, how to properly install it, how to make sure there's proper insulation underneath. And again, it's not a concern in terms of noise if it's something that they want for the aesthetic of their home. And I mean, we have projects that we've done that we've talked to homeowners afterwards, and they are surprised by the fact that there is no noise or no more noise than any other roof. Especially, I think, like you said, I think that it's the misconception of like that old barn that you think of, or the old style of metal roof. Like that is a very common, like, oh, this rain falling on a metal roof. That's a common like thought that when you can hear it, but it's just not the case now with the new advanced technologies. So yeah,
No, and
just
with-
really,
I mean,
explaining
with metal installation on a residential roof, you're essentially doing all of the same steps right before you put that final coat, which would be the metal or the asphalt, with the decking, with the insulation, with the water and ice shield. So all of the steps to sound deaden it are going to be exactly the same as any framer would do with an asphalt shingle.
Okay. So it's as much about the preparation for the metal roof, for any roof, like you said, but metal is just one more aspect. Well, the second deal that's come up many times through my career is that, well, is it going to attract lightning? It's metal, it's high. Is it going to attract lightning? So what are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, it's a non-combustible material. So, I mean, if it doesn't attract any more lightning, it disperses energy than any other house would. So, I mean, a house is up sitting above the ground. So the chances of lightning hitting the ground or the house next to it, you're going to go the route of the house. But if you think about if you were to get struck by lightning, would you rather have something that can light on fire on your roof or something that's non-combustible? Would you something that disperses the energy of that lightning? Really, you think of a lightning rod. A lightning rod is a piece of metal that tries to attract lightning to take that energy and disperse it so it doesn't go into, it doesn't go into your house. So if you can do that with an entire metal roof, I'm saying this all wrong. There is no evidence that a metal roof is more attractant to lightning than any other kind of roofing. There's zero evidence to support that. So, I mean, it's another of those things that's just a myth. There's no fact to it. It's a simple myth.
Yeah. So, well, and touch on the safety aspect. And so, Jenny, I'll pivot to you on this. If you were going to if a client came to you and they were concerned about the safety aspect, kind of what would be your take on that?
I mean, I think again, talking through the evidence, but also the fact that there are the durability, the evidence of the durability of the roofs. I mean, they are so much more durable and long lasting than a typical shingle roof. Obviously, it's going to just outlast a shingle roof. And then also the warranties that the companies offer. I know Fortify offers a 45-year. So that's 45 years is a long time for a roof warranty. It's pretty amazing and pretty impressive. So I think just making sure they have all of the facts and all of the information, and then being able to make the decision from that standpoint.
Okay. So, Jenny, while we're visiting with you, something that it seems like we have to overcome in this world is that metal is just an industrial. It's only used on warehouses, only used on barns.
Right.
It's more of an industrial look. So from a design eye, what are your thoughts?
I mean, I think that it is an incredibly versatile material because obviously you have, your typical farmhouse look, you have your industrial look, of course, but then you have your modern, you have your mid-century modern. You also have you can have a traditional home that has some metal roof and some asphalt roof, and depending on whether it's a dormer or a porch. And Dave said we don't have metal on our house. We do have metal on the back of our house.
Oh yeah, right behind us.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
what I get. That's what I get.
And I think the mixing and matching of materials is sometimes the right fit for certain houses. Like ours is a traditional farmhouse, and it feels very right for our house. Of course, a very modern house, you're going to want to go all metal. So I think that the addition of metal really adds some depth, it adds some interest, it adds a little bit of an architectural detail. And I think also what's nice is there's so many different colors you can choose from.
Yeah.
Obviously the same with shingles, you can choose different colors, but with metal, you really have the depth of color, even from, the black to the charcoal gray, like those are very different. And it can create a very different look. A roof is very important in sort of kind of creating the overall aesthetic of your house. We actually just were talking about this yesterday with one of the projects we're working on. We're talking about bringing in a metal roof, and because they currently have a brown asphalt roof, and they really wanted a more modern home, and they wanted to paint the house lighter, and they wanted to have black windows, and it's like, well, you can't add black windows with a brown roof. So in order to update the entire house and the overall look of the house, we talked about changing to metal. And I think much like in a home when you're decorating a room, I start with a rug. That's like the foundation of a room. So then you go from there. You add your sofa, and then you add your pillows, and like you have layers of artwork. You have those layers that kind of complete the room. I think the exterior of a house, it really should start with your roof. The roof is going to dictate the color, your color palette, your materials that you're going to choose from. You want to start at the roof, and then you choose from there, because it's your biggest, besides your siding, the roof really kind of sets the tone for the house because there's so much of it. And especially in certain houses, some houses more than others, because you can see a lot of the roof line from, when you're driving up to the house. But it is really important. I think it's something that often gets overlooked when people are thinking of the exterior of their home, but it's more of just looking at it from a functional perspective, but from an aesthetics perspective, it's very important in my opinion.
Yeah, we did on Fixer to Fabulous last year. We did a house for my uncle. It was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Anyway, you came down the hill. So this was a house, a stone house that wasn't a modern looking house, but we wanted to go with a, more of a modern feel to it. And that the whole roof was the first thing that you saw.
Yeah.
And you couldn't get around that to anything else. And we ended up putting a standing seam metal roof on this house. And it set the tone for the
Yeah.
entire house.
Well, that's your palette.
Exactly.
So I actually saw that episode. Okay, so before we get too far off of that, and I know it changes in time. Today, Jenny, if you were going to say, what's the most popular color
Oh.
right now?
I mean, I do feel like black is always just going to be super. Black is always mass appealing, but I also really love a charcoal gray because I think black is going to tend to be more modern, and it's going to black can work with a lot of houses, but not every house. Where charcoal is a little bit softer, a little more muted, and it has a little bit more of a mass appeal, more broad appeal across different style homes.
Gives you more options. Well, it's interesting because in 10 years when we talk again,
yeah,
it'll be interesting to see what it will change and stuff. So
back 10 years ago, silver, I would say, in terms of metal roof, like the actual metal
yeah.
looking roof
or that galvanized
metal. Yeah, that was the look, and now that has changed. So yeah, it will change.
Yeah, it'll change. But I was just curious I have heard that before from manufacturers that black is right now, the most popular color.
Well, and it goes with, black windows are the most popular right now. Like it kind of ties everything together.
Yeah.
And like 10 years ago, that was not the case either. And it'll change again.
Yeah, it will.
I think we are really starting to see a shift towards warmer colors. Black, I think, was really dominant the past 10 years, and it still is, yes. But I think we're seeing that shift, and I think over the next 10 years, we're going to go more towards the warmer colors, more earth tones, even in the roof.
Yeah.
So I think it will change, yeah.
Ah, cool. Well, all right, Dave, we got the aesthetic, the beauty down. Now, let's talk about just some basic benefits that you see in a metal roof.
Oh, the first is just the longevity and the lifespan of the roof. I think we're seeing now, like along with, trends in housing, we're seeing people that are staying in their houses longer. They're investing more in their houses because a lot of people can, they can kind of live where they work, where that wasn't the case, 5-6 years ago. And so it is a bigger investment to go with a metal roof. But if you're doubling, like you can get 40 to 70 year lifespan out of a metal roof. So if you're doubling at least what you can get from an asphalt shingle, I think it's a win all the way. You think about wind, you think about hail, you think about just your homeowner's insurance for a non-combustible roof. Compare that to a cedar shingle roof, or even an asphalt roof that is a lot more of a fire hazard. So,
and where we live, we have a lot of wind. We have a lot of big storms and tornadoes and things, and what are they called? Straight line winds that we get. That is everyone knows that's a huge issue with asphalt roofs is the wind and the shingles going off. We had this last year. We were hit with a bunch of storms, and we had shingles all in our yard everywhere, and we had to get our roof replaced.
And our metal roof was just fine.
Fine. Yes.
No
issues. No. Yeah, sure.
And we always tell our customers, building is just like everything else in life. You get what you pay for.
Yeah. Well, I'm so glad you said it that way, because that led into a question that someone had sent in, and basically, is metal roofing worth the cost?
So, yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead. From a design perspective, I would say yes. And I would say also, I think that so many people are so hesitant about metal roofs because, like you said, they have this one viewpoint in mind of it's very industrial, or it's very, black and white farmhouse, and that's it. But it is so versatile, or they are so versatile, metal roofs are. And so I think from a design perspective, yes. And then, of course, from the longevity perspective and the actual durability, absolutely.
Well, and I mean, as a builder, the one thing you don't want as a builder is callbacks. Like that's you want to
Yeah.
build a house where
Mm.
you're not getting called back. And with a metal roof, you're not going to see shingles out in the yard. You're not, you have a really pretty aesthetic. Once you put it up, you're not gonna have to worry about color fade. You're not gonna have to worry about, about like ice buildup. You're not There's just a lot of things that metal, well, it takes out of the equation and makes for a safer home. It makes for the same sound level home. You're going to spend more upfront, but again, like this is most people's biggest investment is their home. Their home is, for most people in America, that is their biggest investment. I mean, yes, you look at
Yeah.
water
Yeah.
damage, you look at fire, like the two things that can really damage your investment, those are probably the biggest. So why not invest in having, a good cap over that whole investment? I mean, we say the foundation is the most important part of a house because if you don't get a good foundation, everything else all the way up is a challenge and is tough. Well, if you don't cap your house with something that's going to keep it dry, keep it protected from wind, from lightning, from fire, I
Yeah.
mean, what did you spend the money for?
Yeah. Well, protect your investment and protect things that are important to you. That's a huge thing. Well, Dave and Jenny, we cannot thank you enough again for spending time with us today and helping our audience to understand a little more about metal roofing. And hopefully we'll get to talk some more one of these days about other things. And viewers, thank you so much for being a part of our podcast today. Be sure and go to metalminutes.com to see this and other previous episodes. And be sure and stay tuned for our next interest as we get into the metal building or metal roofing world. Thank you very much.